Welcome to another Corona Chat. Today I'd like to talk about how public health chose which businesses could be open and which ones needed to be closed. And the short answer is it was really quite complicated. There was a lot of thought and a lot of discussion that went into it, but it is far from perfect. Part of the reason that it's far from perfect is that businesses don't fit nicely into little categories. I've seen comments on Facebook about why are we allowed to buy lottery tickets, but restaurants are closed. And I think that's a fair question. But the issue is not whether or not we can buy lottery tickets, because obviously we don't think buying lottery tickets is an essential service. But it does have to do with the places that are selling lottery tickets. So a grocery store sells essential items, so we need them to stay open. But they also sell non-essential items, and we're not telling them they need to shut down all of their sales and going through it item by item, because that would be very inefficient work. That would be very challenging to implement. And so yes, there are some non-essential items still being sold. And the other thing is that, we don't know exactly what's going to be the highest risk of spread. Restaurants where you're sitting down in close proximity for an hour at a time seems to be a high risk exposure. That said, the more we're looking at the data, the less restaurants seem to be a major part of the outbreak. So they may be something that you see opening up sooner than some other services and businesses, because it just hasn't demonstrated itself as a major source of infection in this outbreak. Some of the other things that are tricky are things like liquor stores. So is alcohol sales essential? Well, for some people, certainly it is, and there are people who are physically dependent on it. But I think that the reason to allow liquor stores to remain open is twofold. One is there would have been a lot of public outcry if we had closed them. Some jurisdictions tried. There was a lot of pushback, and so they pulled back on that restriction. And the second one is really a harm reduction approach. We know from what happened during Prohibition that people will get alcohol if they want alcohol. And so we didn't want to create a situation where people were finding their own alcohol, making their own alcohol, buying it through black market, because that has happened in the past. And instead we decided that we would keep this business open because we didn't want to create risks in our community while we're trying to protect a different risk. So in the liquor marts, it's reasonably easy to keep social distancing measures in place. And so we felt that that was a reasonable balance between meeting the needs and wants of people who are stuck at home trying to cope with a really difficult situation, and also reducing some of the unintended harms that would be associated with closing liquor stores. And so I could go on and on about the different things that we left open and closed. But as things start to open up, you'll see we're trying to be really thoughtful about that as well, and it's not always going to be perfect. Sometimes there's going to be a business that mainly does essential construction, but does a few little side projects that are definitely not essential. We're asking businesses to stick to essential work and to think about how they play a role in all of this, but we're not going to be able to regulate it into the detail that's required in order to prevent people from doing non-essential work. But we are trying our very best.